volume of Hard at Work, we're going to be discussing a more traditional and conservative haircut, the simplified shadow fade. We're going to talk about first setting the lines of demarcation, then we're going to go over gradual blending, and then we're going to look at a few of the finished products. So let's get started. For an example, I'm here using my nephew Davion's, and as you can see, he has a very curly hair texture, and it's easy to wave. And so this was his first time getting this particular haircut. So what we're going to do now, we're going to draw out the lines of demarcation, this being the first line. So what you're going to do now, you'll adjust your adjustable clipper, you'll adjust it to the all the way open position, and then you'll start to make a perimeter around the client's head, making sure that the line is exactly the same on both sides, so that when you do the blending, both sides will look very, very consistent. So here's the second line. Now within this line, you'll go from your clipper being all the way open to attaching a number one guard, and repeat the same process. Have the number one guard on all the way open, and then set another line of demarcation all around the client's hair, making sure that that same line is the same on both sides, so that when you're fading, it'll be consistent. So here we have two lines of demarcations in three regions, each region about a half inch apart. And might I add too at this point that the hair at the top has been cut with the grain with a number one guard. So from the chart here we can review. We would start off with the first line of demarcation with the adjustable clipper all the way open, and we go around in the same symmetry, making it even on both sides, and then we attach a number one guard and make it all the way open, and then repeat the same process with a symmetric line all around the client's head. So now that we have the lines of demarcation, I think it's only appropriate for me to go into some of the techniques that would be used during this haircut. The first technique you use would be the demarcation technique, or the cleanup technique. So what you do, you go in at a 90-degree angle with your clipper resting against the client's hair, and you would go up and down so as to clean up the excess and to make a distinct line of demarcation. But please note now that technique is only to clean up, to remove hair, to set lines of demarcation. If you employ this technique in the midst of your haircut, it will leave you with a line of demarcation that you cannot remove. And so it would be better not even to place a line there that you have to fade out, instead of going into work and sweating and trying to remove that line of demarcation that you put there in the first place. So the technique that you want to use the fading and the tapering technique on the second technique. And as you can see from the diagram, it gives you a gradual fading result, because you're not going in at 90 degrees with the clippers flush to the client's hair. What you're doing, you're coming in and you're flicking away, and so it's giving an angle to the hair that you're cutting, and giving it that angle, it gives the perception that your hair is gradually fading away to nothing, and that's exactly what we want. So during the whole of the haircut, you would want to employ the lines of demarcation only at the beginning, when you're using your clipper all the way open and you're setting that first line. After that, it is necessary to use the fading and the tapering technique within the bulk of the hair, so that you won't have a line that will not come out. And so it's a combination of both of them. Make sure that you employ both techniques to get the best haircut that you possibly can, and especially use the tapering and the fading technique if you're cutting your own hair, because it really does work. So now, after having discussed the process, let's look at a few of the finished products. This is my older brother Dietrich, and as you can see, he is also one that elected to try out the shadow fade, and evidently he liked it, because I got no complaints from him. And here again is my nephew Christian, and once again he too elected to get the shadow fade. One thing you'll notice about that too is that right after you get finished with the shadow phase, finish performing the haircut, there's enough hair left on the side to be edged up. And that's why it's so traditional and it's so conservative, because you're not completely bald on the sides. You still have some hair, and it's still visible. And once again, this is Davion's, and I think out of all three of them, I think he liked it the best, because it really served to accent the fact that he had wavy hair, and so that absolutely was not a problem for him. And I hope that this small tutorial was helpful to you, and maybe you can use some of these techniques while you're cutting.